Here in today's news, the Prime Minister has outlined the government's top 4 priorities for the next term. John Key says the main aims are to responsibly manage the government's finances, build a more competitive and productive economy, deliver better public services under a tighter budget, and rebuild Christchurch. It's expected the official cash rate will remain at 2.5% for the rest of the year. This morning, the Reserve Bank governor left it unchanged due to ongoing global uncertainty and moderate domestic demand. In response, ASB is reducing some fixed home loan rates by up to 0.2%. The government is to spend up to $3 million cleaning up the Bay of Plenty following the Rhema disaster. The initial phase will take about a year, involving local and central government working with iwi and other community groups. The Serious Fraud Office has laid 92 criminal charges against the 3 directors of Rockfort Finance Limited. Nigel Brent O'Leary and Colin Mark Simpson each face 34 charges, and John Patrick Gardner faces 24 charges for using investors' money to fund personal business interests. Attempts to have the infamous teapot recording declared public failed, but a number of websites have now posted the conversation between Prime Minister John Key and ACT's John Banks. Auckland police are reiterating that it's an offence to disclose private communications that have been unlawfully intercepted. To Fiji, the situation in Nadi is now stable, but emergency services are grouping to deal with the aftermath of fatal floods that killed 6 Fijians. Their focus is on assessing infrastructure and returning evacuees to their homes. New Zealand's sanctions on the Bainimarama regime don't apply to disaster aid, and our government has pledged $350,000 to support the flood response. Residents and visitors are told to avoid low-lying areas and not to travel to affected zones unnecessarily. A military mutiny appears to be underway in Papua New Guinea, with a raid on military barracks in the capital, Port Moresby. ABC News reports that supporters of ousted Prime Minister Sir Michael Somare are believed to have captured the army chief, and a new commander has been sworn in. Thousands of Egyptians poured into Tahrir Square to celebrate and progress their revolution. They're still calling for the ruling military council to step down, while the council tries to placate its opponents by releasing prisoners and partially lifting the reviled emergency laws. But former Arab League chief and presidential hopeful Amir Musa wants more.
Nothing is enough. It's a step, but nothing is enough until the total abolition of the law, emergency law.
And before we go tonight, it's not something we often get to see. Here's a look at some spectacular images of the southern lights over Lake Tekapo last night. Alan Gilmore of the Mount John Observatory told New Zealand's Rhema the visual treat will continue.
You can think of the aurora as a bit like a circular fence around the south magnetic pole. And the lower part is white and the top part is red. The sun is becoming more active after several years of inactivity, so we should see a lot more aurora until about 2015 or so.
Well, those are the headlines. Pomare.